Reality of Wrestling 152 is in the books. You will find the connection below so you can take a look at it for yourself and you can come up with your own conclusions if the show was garbage or if the show was good. I felt this show wasn't bad, but I got a critique that I really believe that in wrestling in general, like with WWE, Reality of Wrestling, and now Impact Wrestling, they have a tendency to do too much of. And that's to do a review of the last week's show. In Reality of Wrestling, we got two kind of long segments of what happened last week. What happened with Lomek and Brian Keefe, and what happened with Rex Andrews, and it came to ACW. What is it? ACH. My mistake, I was about to say W. I'll say this, I felt that they could have done something more interesting. Have the interview, or have the segment in the back, and just put little snippets of what happened last week in it. I feel that's a lot more better than always showing the most amount of it. Sometimes I think they go a little too far. And Reality of Wrestling is not at the very beginning of it. It's in the middle somewhere. They do their rewinds. Not like WWE where they try to do the rewinds in the very beginning of the show. That's just how I feel about it. Anyway, since I'm talking about them, Legion. Seeing Hendrix with his team and the Lomek. Why? Look, take away the other two guys and just focus on Hendrix and Lomek dealing with Brian Keefe. That would give us something more, because seeing the rest of Legion is a joke. We don't see the other guys wrestle much, and we don't see them on the show generally. From what I can tell from the YouTube channel, we don't see anything from them. So drop the other two, leave it with Lomek and Hendrix, let Hendrix be his manager and just go from there. Now, when it comes to the subsequent match of Rex Andrews and ACH, the interview that was basically following that up was actually quite good. Rex Andrews had a segment where, even though he didn't look at the camera, which I always have a critique, you want to show that you can be a real, true professional wrestler. You don't just do work in the ring. You must do stuff outside, including interviews, and look at the camera. He didn't do very well. He was more focused on the questions the guy was giving instead of looking at the camera and saying, I am dedicated to this title. This title means everything to me. And unlike everyone else who's trying to hide from everybody, I'm literally leaving here and going everywhere and wrestling, because he did a match at Texas All-Star Wrestling. And I'm glad they showed footage of it. That is what they need to keep doing. Keep showing footage from any other promotion they go to, even if it's only a few seconds. It shows that he truly is traveling around. You need to do that if you want to prove that that Texas title means something in Reality of Wrestling. I'm alright with it. The question is, who is it going to go up to next? Now, Jason's segment was... I don't hate Jason. Or Jason. Trying to sound French when it is not French. But my problem is this, ladies and gentlemen. Are you truly interested in the guy who cares about being a pretty boy, who cares about clothes? I'm not. I'm just not interested, because this gimmick needs more. If you're actually going to try and say that this guy is relevant as a kind of like a fashion model, then you're going to have women who are fashion models around him. You're going to have to do segments with him dealing in fashion. Just going somewhere that has an Ali picture that's well done is kind of not a bad touch. But since it's at All-Star, well, what is it not? At the All-Star Gym, sometimes it just does not translate. And in this case, it's not translating. To me, I feel like he's nothing. Take him to a freaking clothing store. A high-end clothing store, for that matter. Not a regular clothing store for a ham and egger. You got to go to one that costs thousands of dollars. Ask them, could you do a little bit of footage? Pay them a little bit of something to truly show that this guy is meaning something. Because his character sucks. It just doesn't work for me. So the Brock Baker segment. This is his first work in Reality of Wrestling, and he got destroyed by the Boogeyman. Now here's the problem. the boogeyman only comes around once every couple of months, maybe once every 3 or 4 months, and you show him talking about the boogeyman, it's understandable you need to follow up on it, but then you make it sound like, well, he's going to challenge the boogeyman again. And if the boogeyman doesn't come back, then the problem here is, why did you even have him talk about the boogeyman? You could have just let him do an in-ring segment when he's about to meet his next opponent, and then say, I'm better than everyone. That would have been better. And I'm not saying the segment he did was wrong about the boogeyman and getting boog slammed, but it just feels like it needed something other than that, because it does sound like the boogeyman's coming back, and I hope he does. But if the boogeyman's coming back, then he's going to have to be going up against him, and I want to see a build to that. I haven't seen the boogeyman in years. I want to see a real build from Boogeyman and Brock Baker. First match of 2. Kylie Ray versus Haiyang. First time I actually got a chance to hear her voice, or hear her name. And here, in the match, her face is shown. She's beautiful, but what happened to the animation? I'll put it in my face. No animation. Nothing. Sometimes I really wish they would do that, because they telegraph who's going to win when they do that. They really do. And then you got Kylie Ray. Look, I've never said that Kylie Ray's abilities in the ring are bad. I've only said her character sucks. So she did a pretty good job in the ring versus Haiyang. And I honestly wanted Haiyang to win, because Kylie Ray in her character right now is so annoying. So boring. I know little kids probably like her because she looks like a freaking Pikachu. But when I look at her, I see an over 25-year-old woman, probably 26, trying to act like a little kid, and she doesn't look like one. She is not, and I repeat this again and again and again, she is not an Alexa Bliss who could pull it away, because she's small in size and she looks freaking young for her age. She's about 25, 26 years old. She looks freaking young for her age. She could pull off being maybe 18 years old. Kylie Ray is not. And that little girly girl thing, and then the subsequent interview in the back after the match was over, where she got her hand hurt by Haiyang. Haiyang, I'm sorry, I said Haiyang. Haiyang. I must be thinking of Ruby. Haiyang. I just, acting innocent, saying that Haiyang, she acted like she really wanted to hurt me, and then Miranda, I haven't seen her, and she's my bestie, but then is Gino giving me a shirt, and maybe I should go and get my hand checked, but I don't think anybody's after me. Why? I want a credible champion in a reality wrestling. Kylie Ray looks like she could actually pull off being a credible face, even if it was a little generic. But this, it sucks. It just sucks. And I hate it. Let's see. JJ Blake, if I didn't say this earlier, had an interview. JJ Blake is the only person that was on that show that understood the camera is your friend. Kiss it. Hug it. Make love to it. Do things you wouldn't do in front of your mother. This man made it clear that the focus was on the fans, not on the cameraman, not on Ashley, I believe her name is. It was beautiful. His interview was lovely. Going to the back to get to Ashley to do the interview, then he took over and he did the interview himself, because nobody else could do it better than him. He's now going after the TV title and tempo. Putting a little bit of tempo over, which a good mic talker can do. But then he makes it really clear, as good as you are, you ain't good as me. I am good, I am great, I'm dynamite. This is how a good talker works. Look, in wrestling, a truly great wrestler is not just someone who can go in the ring and just tear the place up. He has, or she has, to be able to do stuff in the back. How great is a person in a ring is one thing, but to actually have you come to the arena isn't always about the ring work. He or she has to say, I am the freaking best there is. Come look at me. Come see me amaze you. You got to relay that. And he was the best talker of the night. Now here are two that were not. Gino, you guys know how I feel. He shows no emotion. He's too gentle. And that is his major issue. It's not that he speaks Spanish in between speaking English. It's not the issue. I like the people from La Familia and they do that, but they give me way more emotion. Sometimes raising their voice when they need to, and sometimes relaying directly to the camera how important they are and what they're doing. Gino does not give me that. He doesn't relay me any emotion because he talks too gently. Then he's too quiet the majority of the time. Sometimes you must raise your voice to relay your emotion. Doesn't do it either. Then he barely looks at the camera, which is a big no-no. You must at least 50-50 look at the one who's interviewing you and look at the camera. The better ones do 70-30. Look at the camera more than the person who's interviewing you because they're not the focus. The spectators are. And I just did not see that from him. Then there's Sean Studd. He was better than Gino, but not much. He needs work on his mic skills. He's soft-spoken. That's obvious. He's a soft-spoken person. But he looked at the camera, and when it was time to relay his emotion, he could relay his emotion. He could, particularly at the very end, go, it may be tiny, but that was more emotion in his little pinky than I've seen in Gino in his entire body. And that's the truth. Now the subsequent match and the DQ. Well, not DQ, why am I saying DQ? It kind of felt like a DQ being a double countout. Was it a good match? I felt that Gino got in too much defense, too much offense. And it made Sean Studd a bit weak. But I'm going to say this truthfully. I'd rather see a Sean Studd as champion than Gino any day. Unfortunately, didn't win it, but that means the subsequent next match or matches will give us something good. But this is just my point of view. You guys tell me below, and I hope you enjoyed this Reality Wrestling 152. Please give me a comment below.